All right.
Hey, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
This is Over 50 Starting Over. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
And more. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And really off to a great day. I went out to go to the gym and put the code in to open up the garage doors, and it wouldn't open. Could not get it to work. So I'm like, guess I'm not meant to go to the gym today. I made Lisa a nice breakfast with this chicken sausage, all natural stuff, and diced up a whole bunch with eggs, scrambled eggs.
That sounds really great. But
Parsley.
hold on a second.
Very
You said your garage door wouldn't open?
Yeah, the remote keypad. I think that there's probably a dying battery. That's usually
okay.
kind of the case.
Yeah. So
I came back later and it worked. So it probably is a dying battery, but I just took advantage of it and enjoyed my morning.
Yeah. Well,
took
it is
Charlie
Christmas
on a nice
Eve.
walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, what are you guys gonna have a white Christmas out there?
No, as a matter of fact, it occurred to me like yesterday that we really haven't had any snow yet. And in fact, it's supposed to be 55 today, I think. It's beautiful.
Wow,
it's a beautiful morning. Yeah.
Pretty nice. Nice.
I'm in a great mood.
Oh, well, that's great. Out here, it's probably going to be warmer out there than it is out here today.
Oh,
we've gotten, and it's been 24 hours of rain. It's still raining outside right now and pretty chilly. I think that the rain is going to break today at some point, but highly unusual for this time of year. We sometimes see rain, but not a lot at this time. So it could be a wet Christmas.
It's funny because I pulled up the Daily Mail this morning to check out, all the goofy stuff. And there's just all of the paparazzi out there. They just need to take a picture every minute of somebody. Anyways, it's just a bunch of, here's this celebrity out in the umbrella braving the elements, a lot of those.
Can you imagine having a job like that?
I mean, on either end. First of all, if you're that famous that you just every time you walk outside, there's people running after you with cameras.
Yeah, looking for any kind of chink in the armor too. Like, what if you're having a bad day? I mean, they're gonna capture you
like
horrible
this.
Faces. Go ahead.
Do you know who that guy is? He's all the rage now. Pete Davidson from SNL.
I don't know him.
He should be studied by, well, I don't either, but he's always in the news. He was dating first got him in front of everybody. He was dating Ariana Grande, then Kate Beckinsale. Now he's dating Kim Kardashian.
Oh, I heard about this last night. Oh my gosh.
So he goes to a dispensary and he gets turned away or something. He couldn't get his pot, and then somebody else got a picture of him peeing behind the Rolls Royce or something like that. So that's what you got to deal with once you get famous.
Well, like, first off,
you can't do those things. He's got to get used to where he's at, his station in life now.
It's such a statement about LA life now. I mean, just go pee wherever you want. The whole place is a cesspool.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, I think you should get out of there.
Yeah, well, that's happening. I do have. I'm getting out of here, and I'm not the only one either. We've got just recent reports that have come out. It's pretty interesting. I found it weird that the folks that were running the report were shocked by this, but not only are people leaving the state, and since last year around this time, that the numbers are up something like 15%, which I thought it would be more, but they're up 15%, meaning people were leaving before that. Go ahead.
What do you mean 15% in what time frame or whatever?
Since last March, when this whole thing started happening around vid, and people started leaving the state because of all of the really, I'd say, tyrannical leadership that's happening here. People deciding what's essential business and what's not essential business. People have decided to leave this state, and it's become really a hard place to live, and crime has gone up. And our city services have gone down. For instance, we used to have street cleaners come by. They don't come by anymore. So trash is just blowing down the street and everything. We've got a homeless situation that's out of control, poverty out of control, and you name it. So people are leaving, but not only that, people aren't moving here anymore. The statistics are showing that, this used to be the place that everybody wanted to go. The influx of people coming into the state are down across the board, something like 40% from just a year ago. That's dramatic. And not only that, in the House of Representatives, the federal House of Representatives, we've lost one of our members. So we've gone from 54 down to 53 for the first time in California history that's happened. So but yeah, we, Anne Marie and I, have decided to leave the state, and that's going to be happening soon. But Barry, it's also a tough thing at the same time, because I've got family here, I've got my brother, I've got my kids here, and so we know we're doing the right thing, but it's a very emotional thing at the same time.
I completely understand that. I 100% understand that. You moved there because your kids were there with their mother, right. And it's been a nice run. It's been a long run. How long has it been?
It has been 16 years.
Yeah. So it's a terrific chapter in your life. Scott moved out probably a good 10 years ago, if not.
Yeah, I think it's been less than that. But gosh, I'm struggling to remember exactly when it's been, but it's been over 5, less than 10. So somewhere in that area. And it's been nice having him here. And we love to one of our favorite things, we both have motorcycles, so on Saturday morning we love to go on these amazing rides we've been going on up in the mountains, the Santa Monica Mountains mostly, and the views that you get up there are just spectacular. We went on a ride last Saturday, and we came up on this vista where the ocean was there, and it had rained a few days before that, and we had wind, so it blew out all the fog and smog, and it was just absolutely beautiful from up there. And I mean, my heart kind of sank, and then I was kind of mad. I just, this is not the same place that I moved to.
Right. And that's the truth. And I don't think it's the same place it was 2 years ago.
No. Yeah. It's amazing how quickly things have changed out here. And, I was angry for most of the ride, which was a bummer, because this is such an enjoyable thing, and it just kind of took the wind right out of it.
I know, but I have to say that your stories about you and Scott going on some trips on motorcycles are my favorite, because I feel like I'm kind of there with you. And I know the joy in your hearts. You guys are so close, and I understand the bittersweetness of this move. With all the family that you got there, especially your kids, as close as you and Scott are, these are the things that we have to face at times in our lives. These are important decisions that we make. And, every big decision always has drawbacks. It always has compromises. And this has got to be a tough one. All of you. It's not just you dealing with this. It's your family and friends. Yeah. I mean, people are suffering a loss here.
Well, and we have our neighbors as well that we've grown very fond of, and they're friends. And it's funny, when I first moved here, nobody would I mean, it's very different from being in the Midwest, where you say hi to everybody. Yeah, or at least that's how it was when I lived there. Yeah. And here, I would be out on my porch, and one of my neighbors would walk by, and they wouldn't say anything. And I don't play that. So, hey, just walk past me without saying hello. That's kind of how I would joke around. And now it's like I open up the garage door and all the neighbors come by. Yeah. And it's just wonderful. I'm going to miss them a whole lot. So yeah, but moving, I've moved several times in my life, and it's never easy. This one's just
terrible,
tougher, just because of family being involved and how everybody's out here. And but I will say this, something happened this week which was really cool, is that my son Brandon had a special delivery come to the house for Christmas, and it was a 54-inch television. My son bought me a TV. I mean, now that is, first off, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I thought, what a generous thing for your son. I never bought a TV for my parents. So it helped me to realize that, when I moved out here to be near them, and they were little kids at the time. Well, not little. I mean, they were at the time, my son was just going into high school. But it helped me to realize, he's grown into a very generous and caring man, very smart businessman. And I felt like, wow, I feel like the job I came out here to do was well done, because I could see it in both my son and in my daughter, who's also so well adjusted, and she's got a good job as well, and just caring people with good hearts. Look, I'm moving to the Phoenix area. It's a 6-hour drive. It seems like a long way right now, but it's really it's less than an hour flight. It's right down the road. And I do know that there are good times, that maybe even better times. Let's just say better times are to be had here. Yep. We're definitely going to appreciate the time that we spend together even more. And I'm looking forward to that next chapter.
You got all new adventures ahead of you. And it's a lot of memories to build. I can't wait. I'm excited for you. I'm very excited for you. It's mid-January. I think you're moving, right?
Sometime in that time frame, we're going to be moving. So I would say probably closer to the beginning of February. So it's happening. So, boy, I tell you, with everybody moving out of the state, finding a moving company and getting everything secured it's a rat race. It's kind of a crazy business that's going on here. Nobody's coming into the state. Everybody's going out of the state. Interesting, as I talk to the moving companies, people are going to Arizona, they're going to Texas, they're going to the red states. And leaving here. And that means that some of these companies don't have availability to move because they're completely booked up. And not only that, prices are high. And this is it's an interesting phenomenon that's happening right now, and it's happening across the country. I was just looking at a report where the red states or blue states are losing population right now. Red states are gaining population. So there's an interesting shuffle of the cards that are happening with our population here.
It's amazing, isn't it? I got a couple headlines here. Pro defund the police, Democratic State Senator Kimberly Lightfoot says she begged for her life during a recent carjacking and says she's been traumatized by the crime. Wow. What a surprise. It's really amazing to me that these Democratic run cities are just waking up to the fact that all this defunding the police stuff is be a bad thing. I think I mentioned this one last week. San Francisco Mayor London Breed announces a plan to go after the quote BS that destroyed our city. And so as vague as she tried to remain, basically what she means is they need to start funding the defunded police departments. And we heard, I think you played a clip last week, Nancy Pelosi trying to answer a question as to why are people asking for help? And she's, I don't know. Do you know? I mean, just say it. Okay, the defund the police thing, it was a somehow, some way they convinced themselves that this was a brilliant talking point. And I really believe it could never have happened if it weren't for the Trump era, where the Trump hate was so high that they started just whatever's the opposite, whatever it is, so polar opposite for something that Trump could stand for, we must believe in that. And so that's what I think is going on here.
You're right about that. I mean, I remember Trump was out of his mouth came the phrase "law and order" a lot.
So there you go.
So now we have injustice and no order. People peeing, but beside of their Rolls Royces and things like that. Here's the San Francisco's far left district attorney, Chesa Bodine. He's a Soros guy. Apparently he was funded by him. He's slamming Mayor London Breed's new crackdown on crime as misguided and ineffective. So there's a DA. As soon as she comes out and says, hey, we've seen it. We've seen what's happened to San Francisco with the crime, the looting, the just dangerous streets, the sheer the filth that's on the street. I mean, we're talking dirty needles all over the place. We know about this. It's and here's the district attorney that's saying a crackdown on that kind of stuff is misguided. So it's going to be there are such strong forces that want to keep these cities and these states in not only the same state but even worse. And I don't understand how this is sustainable at all. These
people aren't falling for it anymore. Here's another headline. Chicago mayor, our favorite, Lori Lightfoot, plans to pleads with AG Merrick Garland. Now there's another genius to send the ATF agents to the city after more than 760 murders this year, a 25-year high. Just 1 year after she proposed cutting $80 million from the police budget. These people are geniuses. But here's another thing, Merle. I just read yesterday, I don't have it in front of me, but I read an article yesterday. I forget who wrote it, but they were talking about the new Spider-Man movie, Far From Home, that just came out. And it's the third, I believe it's the third highest grossing movie in the first day or whatever, something like that. It's super popular. It got it's currently like 93% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, like 99 or 98% with the audience. And the guy wrote, this is a giant signaling that people are getting sick of woke Hollywood and the woke culture. And he went on to explain that. And I read about the movie. I read several reviews that just said how well done it is in every way. It's got the action. It's got people overcoming their faults in order to find redemption. I guess there's a redemption story in there, but apparently there's no trans this and girl power that, and he juxtaposed it against a couple of the other movies that got huge marketing pushes from Hollywood, but they have these woke agendas, they're failing. And I'm really glad to hear, and I sense it. I do sense that this whole woke thing is eating itself. It's the snake eating its tail.
Yeah, it's destined to fail every time because it's just, I just feel like it's not. There's goodness in people's hearts, and they know the truth when they hear it, and when they're being fooled, they feel that as well. And nobody wants to be fooled like that. Nobody wants to be
so
deceived.
Drastic.
It really is.
Go ahead. You get a trans kid raping people, girls in the bathroom, and trans athletes beating up on women in sports and taking their titles and things like that. And the parents have gotten awoken to, there's a choice of words.
How do you say that now?
Awoken to the fact that critical race theory is permeating through the schools. They're segregating students in the schools and at graduations. It's just, it's the total story of all of the sins of our past coming back and repeating them.
Yeah, it is really something, just case in point, holiday season, we're used to seeing the Salvation Army outside of these stores with the red kettle and somebody dressed up as Santa Claus with the bell ringing it. And it's really great. We covered a story a few weeks ago about the Salvation Army, and how they had come out with this document that's called "Let's Talk About Racism," where they were saying the opposite of what Martin Luther King had said, which was that people should be judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin, and that to be colorblind was the bigoted thing. And I was outraged by that whole thing, especially given the history of the Salvation Army being based on God's word. But here's the repercussions are happening now. It says some 20,000 volunteer hours have gone unfulfilled for the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign this year, which historically represents 33% of the total yearly donation. So this is a terrible thing. It's in connection with this Let's Talk About Racism guide, and that discouraged colorblindness and asking white people to apologize for things that they're not even responsible for. This is the group.
I'm sorry. No, okay. Let me just put this in there quickly. I think a whole lot of the reasoning behind that, it could have to do with the woke stuff, but I'll bet you 90% of this country doesn't know about that, about the Salvation Army in that regard. I bet what it is more so is so few people carry cash anymore.
Well, it's interesting because these their numbers are down from last year. So, things as far as cash haven't changed that much from last year, but this thing has changed. The Salvation Army marketing manager, Angel Fields Mitchell, told CBS Minnesota that the pandemic was to blame for the shortage, but the Rasmussen poll found that the percentage of respondents who had an unfavorable view of the group increased from 11% to 41%. So these are the hard, cold numbers after respondents were informed of the guide and told the charity was training members in the belief that America is structurally racist as a society. And the percentage of respondents who reported having a favorable opinion to the salvation dropped from 81 to 41%. So
wow,
this is to your point earlier, Barry, that people are starting to wake up from the wokeness, and thank God they are, because it's almost like hopefully the storm is passing. But it seems like we still have a lot to go through.
What we've talked about for so long on this podcast is how America is such a compulsive society, and that pendulum has to go to the point of getting terrified out of your shorts before it starts to, hey, maybe we need to change course,
I hope you're right. I mean,
I hope
the fact is that the whole tradition of the red kettle really goes hand in hand with Christmas. And, when they came out with that and that story came out, it just was such a blight on just the whole meaning of Christmas. And I hate to see that this is happening. I don't want this to happen, but it definitely changed my opinion towards that whole organization. And it looks like I'm not the only one.
Well, I guess for the better. I wanted to try to guide this back to a more Christmassy and hopeful Christmas Eve podcast, but cool. I have to ask you, I'm going to go out after this podcast and I got to do a little running around, and I like to do that the day or two before Christmas just to soak up some of that Christmas atmosphere. Right. There's a different feeling out there and all that. And I know this has got to go probably kind of negative, but do you feel it at all where you're at, or is it too locked down?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, Barry, because with all of the changes that are happening in my life, I've been so heads down over the last few weeks that it does not feel very Christmassy to me. And I wish that I could say that it felt more like that. But I did go to the mall recently, and it was a weird experience for me because of all the smash and grab things that have happened and the looting. I found myself paranoid. First off, due to some of the vax policies that are out there, there were limited places that I could go to in the mall. So I had to actually leave the county and go into another county so I could go. And then every time I'd hear a noise or something, I was like, what was that? And it was weird. It was just a weird situation. It didn't feel anything like Christmas. I hate to say it that way, but
there's also the fact that malls aren't what they used to be. I used to like to finish my shopping. I'd do like one stop. I always say Christmas presents are for kids. And if you don't, once you get past the kids and the presents, why don't you just let it go? Because it just puts anxiety into Christmas and an otherwise beautiful time of year. And so I've been an advocate of stopping with the presents for years now, but my mom still buys us something and she won't let go of it. So we got to buy mom something. But other than that, that's about it. But anyways, I used to like to just get that out of the way, hit one store and get it done. And then I'd like to go to a couple different malls and just walk around and just soak it up. Every now and then you get behind the person in the car or whatever, somebody's going to be frustrated. There's a certain amount of people that have this holiday stress going on. So once you get your anxiety behind you with the presents, then you can just kind of smirk at that. And otherwise, most everybody else has more love in their hearts than normal. And it's nice to be amongst that, but malls aren't what they used to be anymore. In fact, the Beechwood Mall out here, I'm sure memories are what a beautiful place.
Yes.
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, there's occasional riots and shootings and everything else. It's it's not so nice.
I hate to hear that. I hate to hear that. Yeah. I mean, I wish I had a better outlook on the whole thing.
But times change.
Yeah.
Most of us are shopping more online than we are in stores.
That reminds me too, with the whole supply chain thing. I had something I was expecting to get as a gift, and now it's not going to get here until sometime in January, and it's just so frustrating what's happened here. And maybe to your point, this gets us back into more of the real meaning of Christmas and love, and not so much the present thing. And I mean, presents are nice, but it shouldn't be the total focus of what Christmas is, I don't think.
Right. Let me ask you, do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
I love It's a Wonderful Life. I've always, that's such a great movie. And the whole concept of this, the main character, the Jimmy Stewart character of feeling so down and out, and gosh, if I weren't born, wouldn't that be, I mean, he saw himself as not making a difference, and that his life really had amounted to nothing, and he hadn't made an impact on anybody. And so an angel granted his wish, and suddenly he got to see what it would be like if he had never been born. And it was a terrible place. Like, everything around was terrible. And you could see where the love that was in his heart had changed everything, and that he had really made a difference. And in the end, gosh, it was such a beautiful thing in the end, where everybody comes together in love, and he's yelling Merry Christmas, and the whole town is loving on him, and then like a Christmas miracle happens at the end. I just love those kind of stories. And I think that and A Christmas Story are probably my two favorite. And I love the fact that it doesn't say that it takes place in Cleveland, because in the movie it takes place someplace in Indiana, but there's so many, it was filmed in Cleveland, and there's so many different great Cleveland scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
How about you?
Die Hard.
What? I never thought of that as a Christmas movie, but it is a Christmas.
It is a Christmas movie. It's a fantastic. It's a fantastic movie. I mean, we've talked about
that. Is crazy, Barry.
It revolutionized the action movie industry.
Okay,
it really did, because for the first time, the hero was afraid. Normally they just like bump, bump, rise to the occasion and then kick, 20 guys' butts. No, this guy was afraid. And then he got himself together and rose to the occasion. So that was really cool.
All right, hold on. Let me so is it a Christmas movie because it happened around Christmas?
Yes.
Like around a Christmas
party? It was a
party?
Christmas party. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they play it all the time on Christmas as a result.
It's so funny that's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I never thought of it in that
good
category
movie
before.
Yeah. What about TV shows? Every TV show has a Christmas special. And I was talking with my buddies, Dan and JT. We did a podcast.
Yeah. How did that go?
Went really good, but I would not put the O5O moniker on it, the brand.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because we're having beers and it degenerated as we want to have a few beers in. But it's also, do you realize how hard it is to do a podcast with 3 people? Because you're going in 3 different directions. The occasional interruption and stuff. I think we're gonna do one next week for New Year's Eve. Oh, by the way, I just put these under my Barry Edwards account on YouTube. So
gotcha. Okay.
Anybody can look them up, but I didn't put them on Facebook. I didn't do any branding to it or anything. So it just is what it is. I think those guys really enjoyed it, and I did too. I think it would have to evolve into whatever it would eventually be. And because we've discussed it, JT was like, I like the O5O theme where we're talking about issues that are really pertinent to people our age. It's like, cool. Yeah. But we also, what do we do best when we get together? Laugh. I mean, it's funny, it's entertaining. And so basically like the movie question I threw out to them. I had a lot of different Christmas questions, which I intend to intersperse here. And we came up to this one of favorite TV show Christmas special. I mean, I finally thought of one because we couldn't think of any. And I was like,
yeah. What do you got?
MASH had something. I think my favorite, it just occurred to me. Seinfeld, Festivus.
Oh my gosh. I loved that one. The feats of strength.
How could I not remember? Because the feats of strength is so funny. That poll.
Yeah. The Festivus poll.
I was drinking a beer called Festivus.
No.
During that podcast.
Really?
Well, it's a micro brew out here. It's a Cleveland.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. But it still didn't occur to me. I'm sitting there drinking a beer called Festivus, and I didn't think of the Seinfeld thing.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Festivus for the rest of us.
That was a good one. That show was so good.
I loved that George was mentally damaged from Festivus for the rest of his life.
His family, though, when they introduced his parents and they're yelling all the time and stuff, it's like, there's where George came from.
I love that show.
Me too.
But great characters. That's a good one. And, as you were saying this about what my favorite TV show for Christmas, all I could think of was the Charlie Brown Christmas.
That's a good one. Really good.
It's interesting too because it's got so much of love in it, and just Charlie Brown finds that horrible tree. But of course Charlie Brown is attracted to this tree because of his personality and everything. But at the end, they all gather around the tree and they wave their hands all around it, and suddenly it turns into this huge, beautiful tree.
Those were great. When we were kids, we'd be outside, and then it'd be like, somebody would yell, nobody had a phone. So somebody would yell for their kid. Remember when parents used to yell for you outside?
Yes.
And Charlie Brown's coming on. Oh boy, we would all run.
I know, right? It was such a great thing. I couldn't wait either.
And we'd be talking about it. Charlie Brown's on tonight.
Charlie, right? Exactly. Yeah. And there was just like a giddiness that you had that it was coming on.
Good.
Here's another thing about that special was that at one point where Charlie Brown is feeling bad and he's with Linus. Linus tells the Christmas story right out of the Bible. I mean, he reads, I mean, what he's saying are word for word right out of the Bible, the Christmas story, which you will have a hard time finding on any television show these days. So, I hate to say it, but these kinds of things tend to get canceled nowadays. So I hope that doesn't happen. I haven't seen it on TV, but I rarely watch regular TV.
Yeah,
anymore.
Same here. I wouldn't know. I would imagine it's on. One thing I always loved about it, the artwork. Charles Schwartz, I think, wasn't his name Schultz? So good. I mean, the simplicity of it, and yet it totally, the world. You're totally immersed in the world. And Snoopy, everybody loves Snoopy. And so he would get on his doghouse, and he would have these visions of being the Red Baron and all this stuff. But
he was fighting the Red Baron.
Oh, that's right.
He wasn't the Red Baron. He had his Southwick camel, which was his doghouse was that plane, which was an enemy plane to the Red Baron. So that was his big foe that he was after, and he gets shot down behind enemy lines and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. And I found out too that that really reinvigorated people's interest in who the Red Baron was and his whole thing, and it made him popular all over again. If you ever get a chance to read about this guy, it's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, a real guy. That
is it World War One?
World War One, yeah, exactly. Wow. He had a triplane. Snoopy's was a biplane, but his had actually 3 wings, which now looking back at it, it seems like, oh, what a stupid plane he had. But but apparently he really made that thing work for him and shot down something like 80 different, I think he was up to 80 that he had shot down, which was a record in the war.
I always remember back to Snoopy. I think it's the Christmas special where Beethoven starts jamming on his little piano, and they're all right, and they're all dancing and stuff. But it's the simple line. So Snoopy's dancing on his hind legs, right, and his nose straight up in the air, and the simple line that Schultz made of Snoopy. What we had our little beagle Laney, and there would be times when she would stretch out, and it'd be like, that looks exactly like Snoopy right there. That so simple cool line. I just made that artwork was so good. It was so good.
I was talking about this with my kids the other day about cartoons and how they've changed. Everything is computerized. Everything seems so real in the cartoons.
3D modeling.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of it is hybrid. They'll do a 3D environment, but then all of a sudden the 2D character will go through it. There's a lot of different kinds like that.
And you go back to, just the simple, hey, Charles Schultz, he drew each one of these, and just it's art is what it really is.
Disney cartoons from back then. Oh, they revolutionized that art animation.
They really did. That was another thing. I remember when The Wonderful World of Disney would come on every Sunday night at 7:30. It would 7 o'clock every Sunday night, and sometimes they would have these great Disney cartoons, and I could not wait to see them.
Who was your favorite character?
Tough to say.
Because I didn't like Mickey Mouse. He was the flagship.
I was not a big Mickey Mouse.
I don't think anybody really was. Daffy Duck here. Daffy Duck.
When it comes to that, let me think about that. I liked who did I like? I kind of like Daffy Duck too, actually.
Yeah.
Let me just say this, that my dad was not the fan of Disney cartoons that I was, and as soon as the theme music would come on, that we're all so familiar with, he'd make us change the channel to 60 Minutes. And what a contrast, from the Wonderful World of Disney, and next up Old Yeller, and then tick stop, doom and gloom. And I remember also that ticking sound reminded me that I had procrastinated on my homework and time was ticking away.
Yes, I know what you're
I
saying.
would feel that anxiety in my heart.
I would hear that, and it would give me anxiety too.
How about that? I bet you there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with that, that whole, and for the rest of my life, I had this whole Sunday night blues kind of thing happen where I was always oh my God, it's Sunday night. And I would start having that feeling like, what did I forget? Even if I didn't forget anything, that would have, thanks, Dad.
Do you like eggnog?
It depends. It depends on the eggnog. Some of them I've liked a lot, and others I haven't. My mom used to make this homemade eggnog that she doesn't make anymore, but boy, that was like the best stuff I ever had. And then of course it didn't have any booze in it.
Sure.
And when the first time I had eggnog with any booze in it, I was like, what is this? So,
I haven't had eggnog in over 10 years. I can't even remember the last time. But when I was really young, I used to love it. I used to absolutely love it. And you could get it like in a milk carton in the store.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you still can.
So I'm trying to think of I know I wouldn't like it now. It would be too sweet for me.
It's so sweet, and it's so I mean, you might as well just drink some cream, some heavy whipping
there
cream,
you go,
because that's pretty
I don't really know what's in it. Obviously a lot of eggs, but it's probably like eggs and half. I don't know.
It's nog.
What's nog?
I don't know.
It's egg and nog.
Right.
Do you have a favorite Christmas song?
Well, I funny that you asked that. I was listening to the news this morning, and they had a choir come on and they played Silent Night, and I was very moved by that, and I thought maybe that's my favorite Christmas song. I also liked that Fall on Your Knees, and I think I like that one so much because my dad really liked that one, and he was moved by that, and it just reminds me of him. I miss him so much, and those are two of my favorites, I guess. I was, in fact, just before our show started, I was singing Silent Night in my office, and I was thinking, gosh, there's a real range of octaves that you got to do with that whole thing. And I bet you I sound terrible.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, there is. Yeah,
I was way up there. Way down there. But what about you?
Billy Squier does a rendition of a song that I cannot think of right now. But do you remember Billy Squier? You probably didn't like him.
He was, okay.
I liked him a lot, and but boy, he could sing. And in that particular Christmas song, he really belts it out. And I can't remember what it is, but because I never listened to the music on the radio anymore, it'd be on there, and then I'd be familiar. And I would definitely like to hear that. Yeah.
This is right up there with Die Hard. Like that's totally surprised me that it was a Billy Squier song. That's your favorite.
Eagles
Christmas
did a
song.
good one.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
I don't know. I can't.
I would think you would know that. Trying to think. I'm pretty sure they have a Christmas song. It's played every year. That's the thing.
What is it? The one, the guy from New Jersey, is a
Springsteen.
Watch out! You better not cry.
Right.
That one. I heard that one on the radio the other day.
I've never been a fan. Bruce Springsteen. His band always sounded like they were playing in a junkyard with stuff on hand.
They probably were.
It just sounded like a bunch of racket, all, I don't know, just thrown in there, like the beating on trash cans.
Yeah. I've never been a big Springsteen fan either, but I remember growing up that song would come on like a billion times during Christmas.
Yeah. That's the thing. If you're a musical artist, that's exactly what you want to do, is get a popular Christmas song, and then you're immortal. They're going to play it every year for the rest of eternity,
at the beginning of that song, he's like, how many of you guys have been good out there? Then he says, oh, that's not many. You guys are in trouble out there. And I remember that being a big thing about Christmas time when I was a little kid. My parents were just like, okay, Santa's watching, make sure you're being good. And I started experimenting with kids that are in like the mall or whatever, and they're acting up. And you always see those kids that the parents, they can't control their kid.
Oh,
and
yes.
You're thinking, oh boy, that's actually bugging me. You know,
Yeah.
what can I? And you want to intervene, like, come on, kid, listen to your parents. But you can't really do that, you know.
No.
But I did come up with something where I would say, Santa's watching, like that, and that has an immediate effect on kids. They're like, ah.
Does it only? It probably only works around the Christmas.
Yeah, it's probably got to be near Christmas in order for that to work. But I don't know. I've done it several times, and every single time it's worked. Like the kids, like I don't know. Maybe it's because who's the stranger talking to me? But like, you invoke Santa Claus, and boom, they're like a captive audience. It changes them. So the magic of Santa Claus still works.
That's good. I know I've said in the past, I always thought it was a terrible thing that we lied to these kids. And I remember you telling the story how you weren't the bad guy that had to break it to your kids. And
I wasn't. But I remember feeling such guilt about that whole thing, and like, oh, I'm gonna have to crush these kids' little hearts about Santa Claus. And I remember when I found out about Santa Claus, it was such a crushing experience for me. And it was a next door neighbor that told me I had to run back home. And I heard somebody told me Santa Claus isn't real. And I found out about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, and all in one, like, boom. Okay.
That's trauma. That's like giving your kid PTSD. Like, oh my God.
Like I said, I still
get an anxiety attack.
Yeah, that's probably where anxiety started. It's like this whole thing is a sham. Oh,
my life's not real. Right. Hey, switching gears a little bit, and I was thinking about something that made me feel good. A movie that I saw. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and I thought it was so good. I would say one of the best Sunday morning movies I've ever seen.
You got to do your movie thing.
Oh, you know what? I don't have it up, but I do have the trailer ready.
Okay, let's see.
But I just wanted to set it up.
So you have the sound on.
Oh man, am I glad you said that? I was about to hit share and not without the sound. That was an evil, diabolical sounding laugh right there. It stars Mark Wahlberg, who I've never gave much thought to one way or the other, who's terrific in this.
He's
movie.
A great actor, actually.
He's also a producer of it, so he must have really believed in what he was getting behind. Now, at face value, this is one of those things I often do that, I watched this movie. I was so moved by it. I went back and looked at the Amazon reviews. That's the nice thing about Prime. I like to often go back and look at the reviews. And the small percentage of people that didn't like it, you could understand this when you see the trailer. When I talk about it, they were like, oh, it's more woke agenda wrapped in this, and, very angry about it. So they wanted to give it 1 star. Well, you know me, I pick that out in a minute. I'm being manipulated with this woke stuff.
Right.
This isn't that. It's not that. I'm just going to go ahead and roll this trailer. And I'm going to say that I was so sucked into this movie that I don't think the actors thought they were acting. They were just relaying this true story. And away we go.
I don't think I'm getting the sound.
Nope.
No sound.
How is that? Okay, I'll stop and start it again. I'm only going to play about the first minute, because you then get you get the idea at that point. I do have share sound on, so let's try it again.
Exactly.
Now I got it.
What does New York City have? It has Broadway and Gaga, Dad. Lady Gaga.
Don't do it.
Don't do what? Listen to me when I say you're beautiful in your way, 'cause God makes no mistakes.
I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way.
Excuse me, I didn't know you knew the words.
Don't hide yourself from regret. Just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way.
All right.
We're not doing that again.
Hey, Dad. Can
Can I talk to you for a minute? I'm getting picked on by these guys at school.
Why is that?
Because I'm not like them.
It's got to be more than that. Why are you like that?
Because I'm different.
That's not an answer, Jade.
Because I'm gay.
We won't let nature take its course, all right? It'll work itself out.
Joe.
What?
It's not gonna work itself out.
Feeling nervous, silence your voice with your quiet voice.
What about therapy?
I don't need therapy, they do.
Tugging on your shirt,
Look at us, fag.
trying to hide inside of it.
You don't know what it's like
Hide how much it hurt.
to muster up the courage to ask for help.
Let 'em live a while.
All right. The gist of that is this father trying to, very macho father from the Midwest, trying to cope with his son being gay, coming to terms with it. Obviously, he's totally in denial when it's pretty obvious that his son's gay, and his son being bullied. Like I said, true story. And oh my God, it's so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can relate to being different in many ways. Growing up, I was one out of 300 people in my class. I think there were 3 Black people in my graduating class.
Yeah.
And there were many points where I couldn't really participate. Although I'll just say this, that I had a great experience in high school, but there were certain things like dating that separated me from the rest of everybody else. And it was very painful, actually. And I can relate to how that feels. I can relate to just, not being able to be like everybody else. And I think that, when it comes to this, people that are gay, I definitely can relate to what they're having to deal with. And I don't think it's right that they have to be, that there's situations like this, I wanted to give you a chance to finish, because I had a movie that I saw that actually relates to what you just showed.
Oh, well, that's cool. I just want to say, because I don't want to give anything away, don't go looking it up. If you plan on seeing it, don't go looking anything up, because it takes turns, surprising turns. And then it's like, oh my God, where is this going? And I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I think everybody that would give it a chance would agree. Sunday morning movie, not a Friday night movie. You know it's how we categorize that.
Yeah. What was the name of the movie again?
Joe Bell.
Joe Bell.
It's his name. That's the guy's name, Joe Bell. And he's a real guy. He passed away. I'm not giving anything away there. That's not what the movie's about. He's no longer with us, but the story is fantastic. He goes on a walk across the country to spread his son's message.
Wow. And Mark Wahlberg, I've seen him in so many different movies, and I haven't seen one that I didn't like that he was in. He's actually, I think, one of the better actors that's out there.
He's fantastic in this one. Everybody is in this movie.
So I've got actually 3 movies that I
I got another as well. Go ahead.
That we'll take turns then.
Yeah, whatever.
But this one's on the same kind of subject, actually, and it's an older movie. It's actually 2008. Probably everybody has seen this one except for me, but it was Milk. And
right. Jennifer Aniston, isn't it? No, that's Cake. That's Cake.
Milk and Cake.
I think I saw this though, but I can't place it.
So it's about a guy named Harvey Milk, a real person. It's a biographical film based on the life of gay rights activist and politician Harvey Milk, who was the first openly gay person to be elected to public office in California. And so, this is a very intense movie. Sean Penn is the star of the movie, and he plays Harvey Milk. And what I I heard of the story before, and I was not attracted to watching the movie, but it came on the other night on HBO, I think, and I thought, oh, well, let me just check this out. So just a quick overview is that I found myself really liking the character that Sean Penn was playing in Harvey Milk. Apparently, he nailed the actual personality of this person, and I could see why he was elected to office and why so many people were moved by this person, because he had such a tremendous heart of love. And, you know, it wasn't just gay people that were attracted to his message. It was people of all walks of life. And his message was in just treating people with dignity. And, you know, when it comes to the Declaration of Independence, where it says all men are created equal, you know, people are human beings, and there's a dignity about human beings, no matter what their belief is, no matter who they are. They're people, and they should be treated with love. And that's what this guy was about. Unfortunately, there are haters out there that are against that type of a message. And you know, it's a historical fact that he was gunned down, him and the mayor of San Francisco, over this whole message of love.
I didn't see this, Merle. Very interesting. I want to see it. Everything you're telling me is news to me.
Yeah, the movie starts out with telling you it's actual footage of Dianne Feinstein talking about she's being interviewed, and she's making the announcement that the mayor and the city supervisor, who was Harvey Milk, had been shot down in cold blood. And when you find out who does it in the movie, you'll be surprised as well. But this was a movie that had been nominated for 8 Oscars, and they won 2. One was Best Actor, which was Sean Penn, and also Best Original Screenplay back in 2008. Really a good one. However,
what's it on?
I saw it on HBO, but I think you can probably get that on Amazon Prime or any other way. I will say this, though. There were a couple of cringe-worthy moments.
Yeah.
You know, I still I have a hard time in any movie, whether it's homosexual or heterosexual bedroom scenes. I kind of feel like, why do they got to have that in the movie?
Yeah.
But there was a few of those kinds of scenes in there. But if you can just get past that whole thing, the message is tremendous.
That's cool. What year was that set? What year were they shot?
That happened in I think it was the late 70s that happened.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so this is a
big
big movement that was happening at the time. Yeah, you should see Dianne Feinstein. It looks so young when she makes that announcement at the beginning of the movie. It's like, oh my gosh, that's her. But yeah, great movie, well worth your time invested in taking a look at that. Sean Penn, you know, I gotta say, great actor.
Yeah, he definitely created quite a reputation for himself. And I'm just putting that in my notes. Milk, 2008, right?
Yes, 2008, Milk.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. We are. Yeah. Okay. We're at just over.
I got 2 more movies here.
Okay. I have another as well, but you go ahead.
Okay, so here's a Disney movie that I saw, and I haven't been too into the latest Disney movies, so I was surprised at how great this one was, in my opinion. It's called Tomorrowland. And I had never heard of this movie before. It's a 2015. It's science fiction, actually. It stars George Clooney, and I happen to like George Clooney as an actor. I think he's really good. Again, very few movies I've seen that he's in that I don't like. But this one was very creative. Let me see if I have a rendition of this one. let's see, Tomorrowland, blah, blah, blah. Let me just go off of what I remember. So this one has to do with alternate realities or alternate futures. There's a line in the movie where one of the main characters says, there's a black dog and a white dog. In other words, there's positive and there's negative. Which dog are you going to feed? Whatever dog you feed is going to be the reality in your life. So Tomorrowland is a place that George Clooney and this other character, one of the other main characters, can go to. And it's really cool. The special effects are unbelievable in this movie. But one of them is an awesome, like, you know, this is the cool future. Look at all these cool things that have been invented, and the other one is not the cool future. And so it's a movie that I felt very inspired about. At the end, I was actually very moved because Disney movies, like just like Bambi, there are parts where it could move you to tears, and this movie actually did. Yeah.
Bambi, to this day, I think it's child abuse that they go through that scene where Bambi's mother dies.
Oh, it was terrible. I thought that was,
as an adult, that's enough to ruin your whole day.
Yeah,
you know?
But this is, you got to watch this. It's based on just, you know, your ability to dream, your ability to think positive, and also at the center of it is the agape form of love. And you'll leave this movie feeling inspired.
That's awesome. Glad to hear that one. You got one more, correct?
I do.
Do you want, why don't I talk about this one? Because you're going to find it very interesting, Merle. Being the Ricardos, the Lucille Ball.
I haven't seen it, but really tell me.
See that it was on Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah.
It came out at the theaters just like 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Something like that. And now it's on Prime. And I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't think it was incredible. I do have the trailer for it. I'll just say that I liked it in the fact that I didn't know the story. Do you remember? I really enjoyed our conversation in an after show a few weeks ago. You and I talked about it because you, all of a sudden, you knew a whole bunch about them that I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about Desi Arnaz. And well, apparently, I mean, because the only exposure I had to Lucy was when I was a little kid. And even then I didn't find it that interesting. Mm-hmm. And so Desi Arnaz was a world-renowned musician and just a total theater guy. And he was the real driving force behind the whole Lucy thing too, even though his wife overshadowed his fame. And that kind of played a part of the theme of this movie. And a whole lot of it had to do about him being unfaithful. I didn't know what you told me about.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a big thing. And I also didn't know this. I think the day after the last I Love Lucy episode, Lucille Ball divorced him.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. They just run that in the credits, like the last, you know how they put up some verbiage. Yeah. I'm not giving anything away there, folks. So I just thought it was kind of interesting to see the rise of everything, but I don't know what it was. I thought it was a little boring. It's got about a 78% Rotten Tomatoes score. Audience scores it about the same. So that, you know, that means it's a pretty good movie. Not great.
Right.
So, and I think that's a fair assessment. And I'm just going to play about the first 1 minute of the trailer.
Okay, cool.
That's about all it'll take. I should go to YouTube, but whatever. And what's her name? Does a pretty good job as Lucy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot her name.
Nicole Kidman. She doesn't look like her there, you know?
No, not at all.
Why is this coming out now?
She does sometimes.
Does the FBI have any case against Lucy?
I need you to help me save my marriage.
How many times I gotta explain where I was and what I was doing?
You gotta explain.
Are you being funny right now?
I'm Lucille Ball. When I'm being funny, you'll know.
This is getting out of hand.
Madness.
Have you been cheating on me?
The story's made up.
If they boo me,
If they boo you, we're done.
sorry.
Just turn it up a little.
I got lost for a second.
The dramatic version of that song.
This guy did a good job as Desi Arnaz, although
I care about what works.
I often couldn't understand what
I
he
care
was
about
saying.
What's funny?
Huh.
I care about you.
Because
I was just gonna.
a couple swear words there. Yeah, so I think his name, how do you say his name? Javier Bardem. He's Javier. He's a very versatile actor. But I don't remember Desi Arnaz all that well, but his accent was so thick. He's a Cuban. Desi Arnaz is a Cuban American.
Right.
Oh wow, I got Christmas cookies, dude.
Wow.
Show these.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Thanks, baby. Oh, and
what a great
so
thing.
he was a very proud American. He was like the most patriotic guy you would ever meet. But his accent in this movie was so thick. Sometimes I didn't understand what he was saying. And that's a disservice in the movie. So anyways, I just say that I recommend, okay, am I supposed to, I think I'm supposed to read this note that came with the cookies.
Oh, okay.
If not, I hope Christmas traditions.
Good, folks.
Yeah, stay tuned. Christmas traditions are rich in the Italian culture. Meticulously made cookies in countless varieties fill my childhood memories. Mine as well, actually. Shout out to Presti's, an authentic Italian bakery in Cleveland's Little Italy neighborhood. That's where Lisa picked up these cookies last night. For bringing me back. Hoping my favorite Anglo enjoys them as much as I do. XOXO. So that's
cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would need some more tea though. Otherwise I'll be all but they look good. It's a blast from the past. I'm not really a cookie person, but it's a total blast from the past.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's nothing like the smell of cookies baking at Christmas time.
What's your favorite kind of Christmas dessert thing?
Yeah, I'm just like you. I'm not a big dessert person, so I never really that's not my thing.
When I was a kid,
I do love those kind of buttery kind of cookies, I mean, which are mostly what Christmas cookies are anyhow. So when you get, whenever, you know what, it's that tin that has all those cookies and the different
you just see the tin and your mouth waters.
My mouth just waters just saying it. I mean, I could eat, and the unfortunate thing is I could eat the whole thing, and I'm not a big cookie guy, but those are like the buttery kind of cookies, and I love those, man.
Okay, now I always mess this up, but there's that particular Christmas kind of a cookie. It's like this, it's about the size of a matchbox car. And it's the sugary flour wrapped around some like jellies, different kinds of jellies. So, and my family's the only family in the world called it Baelish. Everybody else calls it something. And
I'm not sure what that is.
We said that in JT and Dan's podcast. We had this exact conversation, and they immediately said, "Oh, it's that Kolachki thing or whatever." That might be the word. I'm sure that's not, but those were amongst my favorite. Those are very good, and it's very particular to Christmas. Boy, this one looks really good, though. I have to say, got my eye on this one.
Yeah, right on. Hey, you got back to your movie thing. Would you recommend the Lucy movie? What was it called again?
Oh yeah, what is that called again? Being the Ricardos, and it's on Amazon Prime. I do. Okay. Especially if you had any affinity whatsoever for that. What's kind of interesting about it is that was set mostly in the 50s, and TV was so new back then. And these kind of shows were so new that it's funny. Like they're constantly cutting to the audience. They're showing them like doing this live, on set in front of a studio audience. And the audience is dying laughing over just Lucille Ball making silly faces. And, our humor has to be so much more sophisticated now because there's so much competition. We're always getting desensitized to everything. It's like that was the virgin audience back then, the naive,
Yeah, what's interesting that I heard, because if you look at Lucy's history, she did a bunch of films before this, and there weren't films where she was known to be funny. She did movies with people like the Marx Brothers and other comedians, but she was the straight man, so to speak. And but it was when she got up in front of an audience that she discovered her true chops as a comedian. And I think about how interesting that is, because imagine trying to be funny without that immediate feedback. I think that would be very hard.
It's kind of like today working in front of a green screen because you're doing a sci-fi movie or a superhero movie, and you got to act, and here's this giant monster that's about to come at you. And
exactly.
It would be a lot
you gotta
like
act
that.
like you're afraid. And you brought up Seinfeld at the beginning of the show, and they had a live studio audience, and that was hilarious. And it's just an interesting thing. I think, boy, acting it's got to be hard. I'm not I don't think I would be a good actor.
Oh, my camera did something weird there. But speaking to Seinfeld, what was so funny about it, what was great about it, is Jerry Seinfeld was a comedian, not an actor. And he just rolled with it. He always looked like he was about to crack up, like he wasn't really.
I like that too.
It was everybody else around him. He was the straight man. He's the comedian. He was the straight man. But everybody else around him were such great actors, comedic actors and characters that's what kind of made it,
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey,
I got that one last one.
I wanted to mention.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Whatever you want to do. But I wanted to mention about this Lucille Ball show, being the Ricardos. They show how Lucy resigned herself to being the B movie actress, small part person, not going to be famous. She was telling Desi Arnaz that the night she met him, and it wasn't the first time they met. Lucy definitely is depicted as having a lot of guts and being a very brave, strong person. And Desi Arnaz told her, you got this inner fire, this inner being that really kind of comes out. He's the one that creates the I Love Lucy show to spotlight her. And he was just right. The guy was a very talented guy.
You know what's interesting too is that in Lucy, the I Love Lucy, you don't think of Lucy as, wow, she's really beautiful. No. She's really funny, but you don't think of that. But then when you see her movies, boy, she was really a beautiful woman. Now, as Lucy, very interesting contrast.
If you just see pictures of Lucille Ball, she's always making a face, like a comedic face. She's in character. So that's why you don't think of her in that regard. All right, what do you want to do, Merle? We are we're running late. If you want to do the last movie, that's cool.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
The last movie I had was called Dark Waters, and I
saw that.
You did? Okay, so this one, it's Mark Ruffalo who's the star in this movie, and the film's based on true events, and starring Mark Ruffalo sheds light on how one of America's most powerful corporations contaminated a town's drinking water with a toxic chemical linked to cancer. The company is DuPont, and this whole journey that this real person, Robert Bilott, had gone through, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He went through hell to protect this community from DuPont. And DuPont, he actually used to be a lawyer for DuPont. Of course, fighting the giant DuPont, they have unlimited resources, unlimited great lawyers that he had to go up against. And he spent over a decade fighting this case, to the point where even the town that he was trying to protect came against him. But in I'm not going to tell you what happens in the end, but it really spoke to my heart about a lot of the things that we see today.
Yes.
Corporations that are out there that are mighty and powerful, that are doing these things in the background while they're smiling to your face. It just tells you just to be careful. This whole thing it started out with Teflon, and it turns out that Teflon has a chemical in it called C8 that causes cancer. And boy, we all ate off of Teflon pots and pans. I mean, they're non-stick. And it turns out that the chemicals inside of this, I didn't even know any of this. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, really? Check out Mark Ruffalo was outstanding in the part.
He's a good
actor.
Played.
I've seen him in a lot of different parts where I've seen him in a lot of kind of funnier roles. But this one, I almost didn't recognize him at first. I recognized his voice right away. Did a great job in this movie. Definitely not a movie that it's a feel-good movie, but definitely a movie that's inspiring and thought-provoking.
And pertinent. I've mentioned before about Chevron polluting Ecuador so badly that this environmental lawyer, Stephen Donziger, had battled Chevron and got like $5 billion or $20 billion settlement against them, and they've never paid a dime of it. Chevron took all their power and had been trying to destroy Stephen Donziger to this day. They had him because they ordered to get his laptop, and he did not give it to them, citing the protection of his client's rights. And so they put him under a 2-year house arrest, which has been unheard of.
Right.
And after that, he just got tried, and the judge ordered him to 6 months in prison after the house arrest. This has caused such an upheaval, and this is just literally a few weeks ago. And I always get these updates with Crystal and Sagar. And so it got a different judge or something comes by, and they lessen it to 6 months house arrest. That's a big deal. I mean, think about prison. I mean, so all of it's complete bull, and it's all about how powerful these oil companies are. It's disgusting. But
it's the oil companies, it's these chemical companies, it's the pharmaceutical companies, these even companies like Coca-Cola and Nike and the tech companies, all of them. And they have lobbyists, or they have very much, not only do they have power to defeat you with their lawyers, but even through the government, they have connections there where you're actually fighting against the government. Something to be very aware of. There's got to be changes that are coming. Thank God for people like this that put their whole heart and soul and their life, their liberty, their honor into these things to protect the people. It's great that there are movies out there to spotlight these true American heroes, to show what we're really up against.
And by the way, Donziger he says he's not going to give up. He's going to make them pay after he gets out of there.
Well, and this guy too, that we were just talking about, Robert Blatt, he is still fighting the good fight as well, because the fight continues. It's not over. These are the true David and Goliath stories.
Man, those are the kind of lawyers you can love, right?
Right.
Yeah. Guys, we got to get going. Please go to Over 50 Starting Over and sign up for our email list. You get all these links. We're going to give you the whole list of movies and everything. That'll come right to your email box as it happens. But also, please sign up for our podcast app. So whether it's Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify carries on video now. Download that app. All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Barry.